When we talk about IQ, financial IQ, when it comes to return on investment, a thing called ROI, what's my return on savings today? Maybe about 3%.
And everybody's saying, get out of debt. You got to be nuts. There's good debt and bad debt. Bad debt makes you poor. Good debt makes you rich.
So this is an example of high financial IQ, extremely high returns.
Robert, we were just talking about debt. Now, most people are afraid to get into investing in real estate, mainly, I think, because they're afraid of debt. But you feel the opposite. You love debt, right?
Right. And you should be afraid of debt if you have no financial education, no experience, which you guys are providing people, the context of people. Real estate is pretty much management intensive, a finance intensive investment. So you've got to be smart, you've got to have experience, you have to have good people around you. But one of the advantages of real estate is debt and taxes. You see, the banks right now are giving away real estate at what, 4%, 3%?
Yes.
Well, you got to be kidding me. When I was your age, they were like 18%. Try making a deal work at 18%. That's tough. So there's idiots out there can't make a deal work at 6%, 5%. You got to be crazy. And you know what? Those interest rates are going to go up because they have to go up. So these people are waiting for something to turn. Well, it already turned. It's real estate. So the beautiful thing about real estate, you use OPM, other people's money, your banker's money. Your bankers want to lend you money for real estate. They don't want to lend you money for your business, but they'll lend you money for real estate. There's a reason for that. So you should find out. That's why they should come and talk to you guys why bankers like debt. On top of the debt is tax-free money. I am doing my best to borrow as much money as possible. Last year I borrowed $2 million tax-free. How I got that money is exactly why Susie Orman says don't do. Whatever Dave Ramsey says don't do, I do. Because I'm I train different than them.
Did you just quote Susie Orman?
Yeah.
He said, I love it.
They're different. They're different people. I love real estate. But I love real estate because bankers will give me millions of dollars. They don't give me millions of dollars for anything else. They won't lend me that much for my business. They'll lend me millions for my real estate. On top of that, the tax department gives me tax breaks. It's called, depreciation. So I don't get it. Why are people so afraid? Well, what they're afraid of is incompetence. They lack the education. They don't have good guidance. They don't have good mentors. Because real estate is primarily a finance and management proposition. You've got to be an entrepreneur. So the more debt I have, the higher my return on investment. And since it's other people's money, let's say I'm making $100, but I borrowed $10 from the bank, what's my ROI? Well, it's infinite because it's not my money.
Yes.
See, a pure capitalist is trained to know to use other people's time and talents. They're called employees. And other people's money is called my banker's money. So the reason I don't work and the reason I make so much money and I get tax breaks is because I use other people's time and talents and other people's money. That's what capitalists do. If you're a socialist or a communist, you pay high taxes and they shouldn't give you any loans anyway. So anyway, that's kind of my philosophy on life. If you're paying too much in taxes, it's because you might be a communist or a socialist. You better start changing economic philosophy. I'm only kidding you guys here. I'm doing my best to get you off ground zero and let you know that this is the best time to get rich. I've never seen interest rates so low. And everybody's saying, get out of debt. You got to be nuts. There's good debt and bad debt. Bad debt makes you poor. Good debt makes you rich.
When we talk about IQ, financial IQ, when it comes to return on investment, a thing called ROI, what's my return on savings today? Maybe about 3%. Mutual funds, if you're lucky, 8%. That's before tax. What Kenny McElroy and I talk about is a return of infinite return with zero risk. So get this, that to me is high IQ. So we have an infinite return with zero risk. And most financial experts, you know, on CNBC and Fox and all that, and you can't do that. How many people realize when the crash comes, it's going to be a good time? Yeah, it's a great time. And that's really what I want you to leave with today. That no matter what happens, as bad as it gets out there, it's really a good time. But you have to change your thoughts. And it has to do with this thing called ROI, which stands for return on investment. Okay? Not a very hard word to understand, but I'm going to talk to you about that. Who knows what that means? Infinity. So I'll be talking about an infinite rate of return on your money. In plain English, it means it doesn't take money to make money. It takes financial education, and you'll be getting some of it today. So an infinite return is very simply this. Let me give another example. Let's say you put up 1 million Aussie. It could be $1 Aussie. It could be $10. Well, let's just use million for now. And in a year, that million throws off 100K cash flow. What is my ROI? It's a 10%. Right? Math is not that hard. So one thing I did, I had 3 years of calculus, and I was flunking out like a wild man. Going, holy Jesus! And I asked my calculus teacher. I said, "How in the world am I going to use calculus?" He says, "I don't know." So all of you out there who are like me, not good at math, let me tell you, if you can count to 10, you're okay. You don't need much more than that. So this here is a 10% return. I'll show what an infinite return is. You put up no money and you still make $100,000. That's infinite. Because why? You have no money in it.
So we went to the bank, and the bank told us that our property was worth $18.5 million. So what happened was we decided we were going to refinance, and the bank told us that our value was $18.5 million. Basically, that was the appraisal. And appraisals are based on the net operating income. And I'm not going to go into that today, but basically the net operating income is income minus expenses. And we were able to grow the rent and keep the expenses to the market, and we were able to have a value of 18.5. So now, keep in mind, we bought it, and for 10 with the land, we had some construction costs in there. At the time, I think we owed about $12 million on it. That was with the construction loan, plus what we originally had. But we also had, I think we only put $7 million down. So we owed $7 million, and the property was worth $18.5. So basically, at that point, Robert, if you remember, we paid off the $7 million, and we basically got a check for $9,500,000. Of which, what we did was we paid back the original investors their original investment, plus any preferred return they had, and then we split up the balance. And at that point, the one issue that we had was we had a higher loan amount. So we had less cash flow, but we still had cash flow. But at that point, we were basically in the property for zero.
I had given Kenny about $1 million into this. He gave me my $1 million back, and every month I still get about $10,000 a month cash flow from this property. So I have zero money into it. This $1 million he gave back to me, how much was that taxed at?
Zero.
Zero.
It's a refinance.
You see, when you borrow money, it's a loan, it's zero. So I got $1 million when these people are complaining about capital gains taxes and all this. I got my $1 million back tax-free, plus I still get about $120,000 a year cash flow. And the property just keeps throwing cash forever. So our risk is almost zero.
Well, at this point, we have zero invested in the property. and it produces cash flow. And the interesting thing is we can do this again.
And again, and we have done it
and
again.
Yeah.
We do it constantly. We have thousands of these units. And right now we're in the middle of a big subprime mess. Is this slowing us down?
No, because now the property, of course, is more higher occupied, and the rents are going up again, and it's pushing this value up again. In fact, we had an offer on the property for a little over 20 million to buy it, and we decided not to sell it because we want, of course, to refinance again and pull more money out.
And if we sold it, we have to pay the tax.
Right. And our ownership position's the same as it was. The only difference is we don't have an investment in it.
Right.
And that's when Robert's now getting his $120,000 a year in return, he gets that with zero investment.
So that's why we started this whole thing here on an infinite return, very, very low, zero risk, because I don't have any money in it. This now belongs to the bank, technically.
Yeah, the bank is your friend.
So this is an example of high financial IQ, extremely high returns, zero taxes legally, and very low risk.